when she spoke for me. I used to believe that if you gave someone your voice, they'd protect it. That if you let them speak for you, carry you in rooms you didn't belong in, they'd be careful with your name. Turns out, I was wrong. Very wrong. The first time I saw her, she was standing on top of a cafeteria table, arguing with a professor out loud in front of everyone. The whole dining hall froze as she tore into his old-school boys' club reading list with the fire of a revolution. Everyone was too shocked to move. Me? I was in awe. Her name was Zoe. Sharp tongue, sharper eyes, messy eyeliner, and this unapologetic, terrifying grace. She made the world listen. And somehow, she noticed me. I was in the background. I always was. I filmed people, edited videos, stayed behind the lens. But Zoe? She dragged me into the frame. She said she liked how quiet I was, how I saw things no one else did. And I liked how loud she was, how she didn't care what anyone thought, how she stood in front of everything I was too afraid to face. It started small. She'd post my short films on her socials with captions like, "Made by my genius boyfriend who will never promote himself, so I'll do it for him." I should have seen it then. Whose words were those? Whose name was attached? But I was too flattered, too drunk on the attention. For the first time in my life, I felt heard, even if the words weren't mine. It escalated fast. By the end of the semester, she'd practically taken over my film thesis. She wasn't just starring in it. She was rewriting scenes, directing actors, even arguing with the professors on my behalf. Everyone thought it was a collaboration. It wasn't. It was me, fading. She even started answering questions during the Q&A sessions after our screenings, cutting me off when I tried to speak. Ryan's not great with crowds, so I'll explain what he meant here. I wasn't silent because I was shy. I was silent because she'd made me irrelevant. But I let her. Because somewhere deep down, I thought she was saving me. From my own fear. From being invisible. From disappearing. Instead, she made me disappear faster. Then came the awards season. Our film, technically mine, started getting traction. Small festivals. Independent showcases. Even a couple academic panels. But by the time the program brochures came out, only one name was listed under director. Only one person walked up to accept the awards. Only one face showed up in the interviews. Not mine. I confronted her after the third event. We were walking out of the theater, my hand shaking, the plaque still cold in my hand, though it had her name on it. "Why does everything have your name on it?" I asked quietly. "You know I directed this." She stopped walking. Her heels clicked against the sidewalk as she turned to face me. "You think they care who directed it? You think they'd listen to you without me?" She said it with this venom-coated softness, like she wasn't even mad. Just disappointed I couldn't understand what was best for me. "You wouldn't even have a voice if it weren't for me, Ryan." That moment, it cracked something in me. She had convinced me for so long that my voice needed hers, that I was weak and she was strength. But that night, I started to wonder. Maybe I wasn't the quiet genius behind her spotlight. Maybe I was just a convenient ghost, and she was never speaking for me. She was speaking over me. Sometimes apologies don't come with regret. Sometimes they come packaged like a marketing pitch. Rehearsed, polished, timed perfectly, right when you're about to leave. That's how Zoe did it. I didn't sleep that night after the confrontation. I lay on my dorm bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the applause from the award show echoing in my head, only it wasn't for me. It never was. My phone buzzed nonstop. Zoe, 22 unread messages. All different shades of the same lie. "You're overthinking it. I just wanted to make sure people actually watched your work. You hate attention anyway. This way it's easier for both of us. Don't ruin this over some label." And finally, "Come over. Let's talk." I wish I had stayed in that bed. Her apartment was dimly lit when I arrived, candles, lo-fi music playing, the smell of incense filling the air like some kind of apology perfume. She opened the door wearing my hoodie. Manipulation wrapped in familiarity. "You came," she said, softly, like she was the victim. She pulled me in, closed the door behind us, and just stood there for a second, watching me, as if calculating my breaking point. "Ryan, I'm sorry," she said. "I messed up." She cupped my face with her hands, like I was this delicate thing she could still mold. Her voice cracked, a little too perfectly. "You know I believe in you more than anyone. That's why I do all this. To protect your work." There it was. Protect. That word again. Like I was something fragile. Like without her, I'd collapse. I should have left. But I was desperate to believe her. I needed to. So I asked, barely above a whisper, Then why is your name on everything? She blinked, not shocked, caught. And in that tiny pause, I saw it. Not guilt. Calculation. Then she recovered. I thought it'd be easier. People recognize me. If I say I made it, more people watch. You benefit too. Then she kissed me hard. Like punctuation. Like the end of a conversation I never got to finish. And for a few seconds, I let her silence me again. The next day, she posted a video on her page. Black and white. Crop tied on her face. Teary-eyed. Soft music in the background. I just want to take a moment to talk about something that's been weighing on me. I froze as she began to apologize publicly for not crediting her collaborator. She didn't say my name once. She didn't mention that I wrote, directed, shot the entire thing. Just vague gestures of co-creation and how she's learning. The comments exploded with, "You're so brave for owning this. That's why you're my fave, always so real. Ignore the haters, queen." She didn't tag me. She didn't need to. She'd stolen my story again, even my pain, and made it hers too. That night, she came to my dorm. Tears. Mascara running. More performative grief. "They're attacking me," she said, voice trembling. "People are saying I'm fake." She crawled into my bed like a storm cloud wrapping around a tree. "Please tell them we're okay." I stared at the wall. The same wall I used to storyboard my scripts. Now blank. Like everything I'd built had been erased and redrawn in her handwriting. That was the night I realized something terrifying. It wasn't just my voice she stole. It was my pain, my silence, my discomfort, my shame. All of it rebranded, stylized, monetized. She didn't speak for me. She fed off me, and I was letting her. But something inside me cracked open that night. Not loudly, not the way she broke things. It was quieter, like a breath before a scream. And I knew I couldn't stay still much longer. When someone steals your voice, it doesn't vanish all at once. It fades, drip by drip, until you stop even trying to speak. That was me. For weeks after her public apology, I stopped creating. I'd open my laptop, stare at final draft, and nothing would come. Not because I had writer's block, but because every idea I had sounded like her voice now. Polished, marketable, deceptively soft. She'd embedded herself so deep into my process, I couldn't even tell which parts were mine anymore. I was becoming her echo, and no matter how loud I wanted to scream, her version of me always came out first. Then came the university showcase, the biggest event of the year. A chance for final year creators to present their work to real industry professionals, agents, producers, distributors. I'd submitted a short film last fall. Mute, a raw, uncomfortable, personal piece about emotional silencing. It was the first thing I ever made that felt true. Back then, Zoe had hated it. "It's too quiet," she said. "People want volume. There's no female lead. No hook. This won't trend." But I submitted it anyway, alone. And somehow, it made the final selection. A week before the showcase, I found out the truth. Zoe was selected too. Only, not for her own film. For mine. They'd chosen Mute, based on her press kit submission, the one she quietly put her name on as director and concept creator. And because she had the connections, the committee just accepted it. No one even asked me. I confronted her after class. People were still pouring out of the auditorium, chatting about lighting setups and sound design. But my world had narrowed down to just her. She was leaning against the stair rail, phone in hand, dressed like she was ready for a red carpet, not a lecture hall. "You submitted my film under your name?" I said. She didn't flinch. "Our film," she corrected. That word made my skin crawl now. "I wrote it. I shot it. I edited it. You literally told me it was too quiet." She looked bored, like I was an inconvenient pop-up ad. "You're being dramatic," she said. "Do you want the film to succeed or not?" I took a step forward. I'd rather it fail under my name than succeed under a lie. She laughed, soft, dismissive. "You're cute when you pretend to be noble." That line broke something in me. Not because it was cruel, because it was casual. Like stealing from me was no longer even a betrayal, it was just routine. That night, I stayed up until 4 a.m., digging through folders, emails, timestamp drafts. Everything that proved Mute was mine. I printed it all, bound it in a manila folder, and handed it to the showcase committee the next day. They said they'd look into it, that mistakes happen, that it was probably a misunderstanding. But Zoe, she got wind of it fast. She cornered me outside the media lab just before her TikTok went live. The video was Oscar-worthy, crying in her car, Soft voice. Dimmed lighting. Some people just want to tear you down when you shine too bright, she said in the clip. I've worked so hard for everything I have. And now they're trying to discredit me because I'm a woman who dares to lead. The caption? Hashtag believe women. Hashtag protect creators. Hashtag mute the haters. The comments? Brutal. Probably some jealous ex. Men hate seeing women win. You deserve everything. Don't let them silence you. I wasn't just voiceless now. I was the villain in her narrative. She didn't just erase me. She replaced me with a monster version of myself. And everyone believed it. But the worst part? She wasn't scared. She was thriving, riding the wave of manufactured victimhood like a brand ambassador for pain she never felt. And I, the real victim, was invisible again. A few nights later, I passed by the editing suite. Inside, a younger student, Marcus, was working on a short film. I glanced in, paused. He looked up and said, "Hey, you're Zoe's boyfriend, right? The guy who helped her with all those scripts." That word again. Helped. As if I'd been her assistant. As if she had created the world I'd bled for. I walked home in silence. My hands were shaking the whole way. Not with fear. With clarity. Because now I understood. Silence isn't absence. It's pressure. It builds. It swells. It suffocates. Until it erupts. And I was done being quiet. Silence doesn't break cleanly. It shatters. And when it does, it cuts everything it touches. That week, I made a decision. No more waiting. No more trusting committees, policies, or polite email chains. No more hoping someone would notice that my name was missing from my work. It was time for people to hear my side A. From my mouth. I recorded a video. No filters. No edits. No music. Just me, sitting on the floor of my apartment, staring dead into my webcam. I didn't script it. Didn't rehearse. Didn't even blink much. My voice was shaking not from fear, but from release. Hi, I'm Ryan Ellis. I'm a writer, editor, and film student. You probably don't know me, but you might know my work, or at least, what's left of it. I laid it all out. The script drafts. The original shooting timeline. The text messages where Zoe criticized Mute. The timestamp folder showing she didn't touch a frame until after post-production. And then I dropped the bomb. The version of me that's been circulating online, the bitter ex, the misogynist saboteur, that guy doesn't exist. But I let him grow because I was too scared to speak. I thought silence was safer. I was wrong. I didn't cry. Not because I didn't want to, but because the anger had burned through every last tear. I posted the video. Then I shut off my phone. I didn't check notifications. Didn't answer texts. Didn't even open my laptop for 24 hours. I just walked. For hours. Through empty city streets, across the river, back through alleyways where posters for indie screenings curled off the walls like old skin. I felt like I'd stepped out of myself. Like I was watching my own life from the outside for the first time in months. When I finally got home, my inbox had exploded. So had hers. The internet did what it always does. Divided into camps. Some accused me of trying to tear a woman down. Others started digging. And when they did, they found everything. Clips where Zoe gave creative talks about Mute, describing how the idea came to her in a dream. Panels where she dismissed questions about collaborators with the line, "I'm a solo creator. Always have been." The backlash wasn't instant. It built. And when it came, it wasn't small. She went private. Deleted a dozen posts. Closed comments. Stopped responding to brand collabs. But it was already too late. Because something irreversible had happened. People had started to listen. And then, she called me. After everything, she had the nerve to call me. It was almost midnight. The name on my screen made my stomach clench like I'd swallowed ice. But I answered. Not because I owed her anything. Because I wanted to hear what kind of person she'd choose to be now. Her voice was hoarse. Soft. But not from crying. From strategy. "Ryan, you've made your point." That's how she opened. Not "I'm sorry." Not "I was wrong." Just, "You've made your point." Like I just pulled a stunt. A performance. "You said enough," she continued. "Let's not make this worse than it has to be." I stayed quiet. Let her fill the silence with her own unraveling. We both messed up. You should have stood up for yourself earlier. I shouldn't have. I don't know, gotten carried away. But dragging each other down doesn't help either of us now, right? She wanted me to settle, to take my scraps of truth and walk away. But I'd already been silent for months. I wasn't doing that again. "You didn't get carried away, Zoe," I said. "You erased me. Deliberately. Repeatedly. And when I tried to reclaim my voice, you weaponized yours to make me look like a monster. She said nothing. So I kept going. I'm not going to shut up so you can rebuild your brand. This isn't a PR crisis. It's my life. There was a long pause. Then, a shift. The nice voice vanished. And what replaced it was ice. You think people will remember you in a month? She hissed. You think this little moment makes you more than a one-time sob story? I made you interesting, Ryan. Without me, you're just another angry nobody. And just like that, I remembered why I was here. She never cared about the art, or the story, or me. Only the spotlight. And now it was slipping from her hands back into mine. The next day, the university held an emergency committee meeting. They'd seen the receipts. They'd read the messages, watched the video, heard from classmates, professors, even a few visiting filmmakers who vouched for me. Zoe was removed from the showcase lineup. My name was reinstated, and Mute was officially credited to Ryan Ellis, writer, director. They offered a public apology and gave me a chance to speak at the premiere. I didn't give a speech, not a long one. I just stood there, after the screening, in front of the small crowd of professors, students, and strangers. Hands trembling, throat dry, but my voice didn't shake. This film was about losing your voice, and now it's about finding it. Thank you for listening. Simple, true, mine. People say truth sets you free. They never mention what comes after. The mess, the quiet, the strange new weight of being seen. When the showcase ended, people clapped, not like they did for Zoe. It wasn't deafening. It wasn't viral. It was human. And for the first time in months, I wasn't angry about that. There was no grand redemption arc. No agent in the audience offering me a deal. No flood of DMs begging to collaborate. No clean, cinematic revenge where I rise from ashes while she crumbles in flames. What I got instead was something quieter. Real. A week later, Professor Lynn pulled me aside. We hadn't spoken since everything came out. She'd been one of Zoe's earliest supporters, even moderated her panel. I expected tension, but she looked embarrassed. Ryan, she said quietly, I owe you an apology. I should have looked deeper. I shouldn't have dismissed your concerns as jealousy. That was unfair. I didn't know what to say, so I nodded. That was enough. She reached into her bag and handed me a folder. Inside, a grant application for a postgraduate film fellowship. I think you should apply. You've got a voice people need to hear. That's when I felt it, not pride, not even relief. Just clarity. Maybe I could start over. Not for revenge, not for proof, but for me. As for Zoe, she went dark online. Her Instagram vanished. TikTok wiped clean. She pulled out of a web series project that was supposed to be her big leap forward. Rumor had it she was planning to study abroad next semester. Paris or Berlin. Someplace far. Someplace where her name hadn't soured yet. Some people still defended her. Everyone makes mistakes. She's just young. He weaponized his feelings. I didn't fight them. Let them think what they wanted. Because that was the difference now. I knew who I was. And I didn't need their permission to be it. One night, weeks after the storm had passed, I found myself walking past the old campus theater. The same one where we'd first screened Mute back when we were still pretending to be equals. They were playing student shorts again. I went inside just to watch. It was quiet. Maybe 10 people in the room. And for the first time, I sat anonymously, letting someone else's story fill the space. No one whispered behind me. No one looked sideways. No one called me a liar or a bitter ex. I was just there, present, whole, heard. Later, as I walked home through the cold, I thought about something Zoe had said to me once. Back when we were still tangled in each other, still dreaming big. When people listen to you, she'd whispered in bed one night, it makes you feel like you're finally real, doesn't it? At the time, I nodded. Now, I understood something deeper. You don't become real when they listen. You become real when you speak. Even if they don't. And I'd spoken. Finally. This time, in my voice. The end.